Hello, everybody. Welcome on back to Fantasy Football Futures. I'm Tyler, and this is Tim. And today, we are going to be talking about AFC division, the top 5 players at each position, from quarterback, running back, wide receiver to tight end. And then we're going to give our top 5 sleepers for the AFC as well. But to start the show today, we're going to talk about some of the recent news that's happened since we last filmed on Sunday. Starting with your bold prediction of Sony Michel. He's officially a Los Angeles Ram.
Yep, I did not think it was going to be traded at least, but I at least thought it was going to be something where he got let go. But hey, I'll take it. But the thing is, I know we picked Damian Harrison to be a sleeper, and this is good for him.
Hey, it's Damian Harris.
Did I say Damian Harris again?
Sure did.
You know what? I'm just going to call him Damian Harrison from now on.
Just call him Damian.
No, Harrison.
How about Big D, 37?
There you go. But anyways, I honestly think that this might actually open a door for Stevenson there for their backup. I think that might be the way they go because, like we said, the Patriots never had just a single running back that they rely on, and Stevenson's been able to just show up the last 2 weeks and has been good for them. And I think that's another reason why Michel's out as well.
And that's why I think so too. He's shown that he can play the second running back that they would need outside of James White. So Sony Michel, yes, he was a former first rounder, but the Patriots just really didn't have any need for him. Stevenson has shown that he can be an explosive guy off the bench behind Damian. So I think I agree with you. That's probably why they got rid of Sony, just because they knew that Stevenson, after seeing him in 2 games, that he was going to be able to fill in and just take over that role, and they'll have to pay him a lot less than they're paying Sony. So I don't hate it. I did see, though, too, that Damian Harris got all 11 first-team reps the other day, so in their joint practice. So yeah, I think he'll definitely be the number 1. But like you said, it's still that touch point where he's not going to see the third down snaps probably unless it's 3rd and 1. And Stevenson will get his fair share of touches. But I think, depending on what happens with their quarterback, David's going to be a good, solid pick, especially late, if it's not Cam Newton playing quarterback.
Very true. Yeah, I think it's really good news for Harris. But just keep your eye out on Stevenson. It's going to be actually pretty interesting to see what that team does, especially with news of Cam Newton and Mac Jones. There's a chance that Mac Jones might be starting for him now.
Well, that's what I think they're mad at what Cam Newton's code situation has been recently. So, I mean,
why they're going to have him for 1 more year and he's making you mad? Why keep him around?
That's what I'm thinking. So I don't know. I think Damian Harris, it's going to be his backfield for like first couple games for sure. I think he'll get majority of the snaps. And I'm sure Stevenson will get his fair share as well. And James White definitely will get that 3rd down reception, receiving type out of the backfield. So those 2 are great. And then, like we said, Keane and Mac Jones, Belichick still hasn't named a starter. I'm thinking that they're just going to hold out and wait until week 1. We might even see like 2 quarterback system, or they might just pull the trigger and go with Mac Jones.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking for that sportsbooks right now, and I think DraftKings has Mac Jones starting, I think, at plus 220. Yeah. And I think that's something to maybe throw a couple dollars on, because Belichick, if Cam Newton does he goes have a bad game with this COVID situation and Mac Jones goes out and has a great game, you might actually see that definitely happening.
Well, that's what's really the only thing you're losing between Cam Newton and Mac Jones, besides Cam being a veteran, is just the fact that Cam Newton's 6'6" and weighs 250 pounds and is a great within the inside 5 kind of guy in a runner. So, I mean, I feel like Mac Jones can make pretty much any throw Cam Newton makes. So
yeah, definitely so.
And I don't think he's getting any better. He's not going to revert back to his MVP type season he had. So I think they might run with that. And I think the Patriots are a team that people are going to forget about here. And they don't really think about, because you got the Bills, Dolphins in that division. No one's really talking about the Patriots. So.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be pretty interesting. So with Michel going to the Rams, do you see Henderson's volume going down, or are you kind of thinking Michel's just going to be there for backup? And maybe
I think Michel will kind of be like Malcolm Brown to start. He'll be the goal line guy. McVay likes Darrell Henderson a lot, but I did read up that McVay wants to be a 2 running back system team, so I think they're kind of going to – I think Henderson will get a lot of the reps at first, but, I mean, it's kind of like last year. Cam Akers didn't play a lot, and then he really showed what he could do with when he got all the opportunities. So I don't see why Michelle can't step in and maybe take over that role for Darrell Henderson. So I don't know. I'm curious to see what he's going to do. McVay, you never know. Especially with Stafford back there. They might even not run the ball as much as they're doing with Goff. Because Stafford's just a better quarterback. So I could see them going 50-50, but I think to start the season, you lean definitely more heavily on Henderson. And then you might later see Michelle slowly work more into that and definitely maybe take those goal line situations away from Henderson. But after with Belichick not making a starter, we did get our first QB controversy starter name. Teddy Bridgewater's in as a starter at Denver.
Yeah, I was 2 for 2 on that. With Michelle leaving and Teddy starting there, I'm pretty excited for Teddy. Actually, right when he was named a starter, I saw a great stat that Warren Sharp tweeted. Teddy last year played the hardest schedule against pass defenses.
Really?
Now, this year, he'll have the easiest schedule for pass defense. So I think definitely I'm not drafting Teddy Bridgewater. I'm not doing anything like that. But when if you're going from week to week with quarterbacks, you like that kind of style. You don't get that top 10 quarterback. Teddy Bridgewater could definitely be a guy that you look towards, and that's just another thing where I love Jerry Jeudy and Sutton. I think it's a great pick.
And that's why I think him becoming a starter raises their value a little bit more. I know Jeudy and Sutton have kind of, a lot of mocks are either late 7, early 8, kind of is where they're floating around now. But I think you might see Jeudy move up even more, as well as Sutton, depending who you like more in that system. I like Jeudy more, but Sutton I think will be just as good.
Yep.
But like you said, Carolina last year with Teddy, yeah, they only won. They won 5 games without CMC, but they were a touchdown away or less in 10 of those games.
Yeah.
So Teddy Bridgewater is fully capable of being a solid quarterback in the league, and I think with weapons like Fant, Sutton, Jeudy, I think he'll be just fine.
Yep, it's tough because they're in a very tough division with the Chargers and Chiefs.
Yes.
But I know they're over/under for win totals at 8.5, and to be honest, I'm not touching that because I think it's going to be 8 or 9 wins. They'll get a couple wins, especially at home when the Chiefs and Chargers come in with that defense, and you can score a couple. I definitely think they'll get some good wins, and I don't think playoffs are looking for them just because of that division and how there's some tough AFC teams. But they might surprise some weeks.
I think they'll compete for sure in that division alone just because of their defense, and you'd be surprised how far defense can take them. So I'd be curious to see how it goes and if Melvin Gordon's going to be the guy or Javonte Williams too there. So, he's got good running backs or solid, good enough running backs, and then he's got pretty solid wide receiver and tight end core around him and a good defense again. So I think he's set up to succeed. And then the last thing I want to talk about, after watching the game on it was either Sunday night or Monday night with the Saints, I think there's no chance Sean Payton cannot start Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston looked good. He looks better than Taysom Hill just throwing the football. Taysom Hill is not a good quarterback in my eyes. I think they found something with Taysom Hill with the QB special things they used to do and maybe plugging them. And now you can even plug him in to play tight end, bring him in to run some plays, and then even throw it there. So you can change that. And that's what if I'm Sean Payton, I'm naming Jameis my starter. It gives you the best chance to win, I think. He makes receivers better, and then Kamara, even having him, I think, changes how Jameis plays. And I think Jameis just getting older and being behind Breeze will just allow him to be more successful, especially having a coach like Sean Payton, too. So, I don't know. I think they'd be really dumb not to start Jameis Winston.
Well, it makes me think they might go with my mind just went blank. With Hill, is because they haven't named the starter yet. It makes me like they wanted to go Hill. Like I'm watching.
Yeah, is that or is it just Sean Payton beating Sean Payton? Because he wouldn't do that either until that Thursday when when it was up to both of them again. I think he just wanted to give Jameis a full year to get away from that 30 interception year, kind of relax, be like, all right, you're going to learn. This is how we're going to learn. You're going to be back up. You're going to get as many mental reps as you can, and I want you to be better for probably the inevitable that he saw anyway with Drew Brees retiring. So
the best way I can describe it is I'm watching Friday Night Lights, and second season where J.D. McCoy is a freshman quarterback, but Coach Taylor wants to keep Matt Saracen in because he knows what he gets with them. Also, and Matt Saracen's with Hill, where he knows what he gets and he likes him, but he has to put in J.D. McCoy because he's definitely going to win games he doesn't want to. But I think that's definitely going to be the smart move and put Winston in there. I think that's what he needs to do.
I think they just need
at least give him a chance. If he starts to really fall apart, you have with Hill, you can lead that team. But if to definitely compete and get over the hump of that Breeze finally retiring, I think Winston's definitely where you need to go.
I think everybody's kind of rooting for Jameis. I feel like his name's kind of been thrown down a lot, being downgraded, not great. I mean, he's not a great quarterback, but he's still one of the better ones I think available in the league, especially as a backup. I would take Jameis Winston
over a lot of quarterbacks.
He's a Heisman winner, Florida, our national champion. I think he's capable of being pretty solid in the NFL. And with Jameis 1 of 1, so he's going to be a future Hall of Famer by that. But yeah, so. That is all the news that I had. Do you have anything else?
Just probably ETN getting hurt.
Oh, yeah, ETN. I forgot about it,
Looks like he's out for the season, so I definitely pushes James Robinson up.
I think it's
definitely in your
top
draft.
15 is what they're saying.
I would definitely
right
would not overdraft him and make, get in that second round. I can see end of the third round, maybe still fourth round, because I think... I just don't know with Urban Meyer. You don't know what he's going to do. He might try to sign someone he likes having that slot or that running back they can catch out of the backfield.
And they have Carlos Hyde back there too, who's an Ohio State guy. But I don't know. Urban Meyer, when I was watching the game, that offense just doesn't look great yet. Because Urban Meyer's trying to mesh what he does with what the offensive coordinator does, so it's kind of a mixture of spread and the pro formation stuff, so I don't know how well that's going to mesh. I think you either just need to run spread, but I don't think Urban Meyer's spread offense will work in the NFL. But I mean, I'm curious to see how it's going to look in the season. Trevor Lawrence was officially named starter too, so James Robinson with that injury, I think he's definitely going to go up to that third, fourth round. I think now, but I wouldn't reach any higher than that for him because. He's still an undrafted player from last year. It's only his second year in the league, and people probably think there's no way he can reproduce that. But I don't know. I'd be interested to see what he can do this year if he was given that workload again as well. So ETN's out. We got Teddy starter, Sony Michel back to LA, is in LA, and then that is it. So we'll go ahead and move on into our top AFC players for each position. So we each ranked them. This is for PPR. We just ranked 5 best that we think how they're going to finish in the season. So this will be AFC fantasy points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of finisher for us. We haven't seen each other's things, so I'm kind of curious to see what Tim wrote. But for quarterback rankings this year, who's your number 1?
My number 1, I went with just Mahomes. I think that he's going to be number 1 until he's not. I think he's in a great offense. Definitely just gets, unless besides injury, I don't see why he shouldn't be number 1. Definitely Josh Allen definitely can make that argument of we both think he could be MVP. So he can definitely, but I think Mahomes is definitely the safer route, and that's why I think he was the number 1 for me.
I also put Mahomes there just because of who he is and who he has around him. Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, and then you throw in, we'll see, Carlos Edwards-Hilaire's hurt right now, but you give him those type of weapons, especially just having Kelce and Hill alone, it changes what you can do. Kelce is a tight end, but he is 20 steps higher than the next tight end. So I have him at number 1, 2. I think Josh Allen will be great again. I just don't know if he can be as great as he was. The Bills had to throw a lot last year because their defense wasn't the best. So.
And they don't have that running game. And the Chiefs didn't either, but I would take Clyde Hilaire over any of those.
I think the Chiefs were able to hang in defensively more in games, and they were able to stop more here and there. So I think Mahomes will be the best as well. So I'm going to guess that we're going to have the same number 2 because I have Josh Allen here.
Yep. I think just it's taken another step. Like, I picked him to go to the Super Bowl. There's a really high chance me and you like him as MVP, and you don't think someone's going to win that when you think maybe they have a chance of having a bad season. I think we both think he'll take the next step. Maybe that running game will get a little bit better. The defense will get a little bit better.
And that's why I have That's why I didn't put him as high as Mahomes, because he had rushing touchdowns a lot last year, and I think they're going to try to maybe rein back on that a little bit. They have Zach Moss, who I think will be able to handle those 3 yards and 3 yards to score touchdown type of thing. So I think Zach Moss will take more touchdown touches than they'll ask Josh Allen to run, but Josh Allen, I think, is just a natural runner. So really, I think 1 and 2 you can interchange. I think they're both going to be top quarterbacks again this year. Mahomes, he's just, what to expect from Mahomes. Allen he had kind of struggled, but then came on his second year, and so I think he'll just continue to grow. So
yeah, I think there's sometimes when you're watching Josh Allen and he's just ask what is he doing, and I think that's the thing. Like, a big thing was last year his completion rate was 64% and Mahomes was 76%. So that's I think that's what makes the difference between 1 and 2 is just that little bit.
And I think his will drop a little bit, but I mean the addition of Stephon Diggs last year you saw changed everything for Allen. Finally got him like a safety guy to go to. And I just think once they develop a little bit of a running game with Singletary and Moss, I don't know if it's possible, but if they do, I think they'll try to do that more because you want to save your quarterback's body as much as you can. So that's why I put Josh Allen at number 2 there, and I think he'll be capable. He could take over that number 1, but I like to just keep him under Mahomes right now just because of who Mahomes is. So. That would be, so we both have Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen as 1, 2 out of our top 5. Who do you have for number 3?
I went with Justin Herbert. I think the offense is going to take another step this season. I love Eckler out of the backfield. Definitely one of the best safety nets you can have, especially back there. And then now you got Keenan Allen on one side, and if Mike Williams can stay healthy, you have him. I think you just have a lot of options to do in that offense with the offensive line even better this year, I think. And it's also no longer your rookie season. You're veteran, you're a veteran. It's his team, so I think he definitely has a chance to take that 3 spot.
Yep, and that's also who I put in my 3rd spot as well. So, I debated on putting him number 2 just because I think the Chargers are going to throw the ball a lot. Especially with Allen. Him and Allen last year Allen finished as like a top 5 receiver with Justin Herbert as QB, and getting Eckler back. And then they also added Jared Cook, who, I don't think he's as good as Hunter Henry, but I don't think you're losing a lot there. And that's still another weapon that he got. And if Mike Williams, like you said, can stay healthy, and I can see him just growing in his second year. Usually that second year you see a big growth with the quarterback. So I only see him going up. I could see him throwing for 40 touchdowns this year, and having Eckler there too as well.
Yeah, definitely helps.
Dumping that ball off to him if they get in trouble, making less mistakes with throwing, trying to force things and everything. You just get 1 year smarter. You're learning how you're kind of adjusted to the speed and everything now. So I think he can easily step in and be that number 3 guy in the AFC for sure. So. I don't know if these next 2 will be the same for us.
I think they might change a little bit because I feel like you have a different opinion about a certain quarterback than I do. So
yeah. So for number 4, I have Ryan Tannehill.
Okay.
I think Ryan Tannehill last year he finished as the number 7 quarterback overall. I think the last 2 years he's been top 10. So I don't see how, there's no issue for him moving up, especially when you add a guy like Julio. You have Julio, A.J. Brown, and I think they might try to run the ball a little less because I was looking at it. Derrick Henry over the last 2 years has around 700 attempts rushing the football. So my thing would be, hey, maybe let's give this guy a break and try to throw more because Ryan Tannehill is a good game manager, and I think he's a good quarterback, and a lot of people don't see that because he's going like 11th, 12th round. I had him last year, and I think he did perfectly fine. He won't put up huge. He won't have like the Mahomes games, but I think he can easily throw for a silent 3 touchdowns, 250 plus yards a game. With the addition of A.J. Brown and Julio being together now, so because he did that with Corey Davis, and Corey Davis is good, but Julio is just better than Corey Davis. So I'm just curious to see what he's going to do, and that's why I think he'll be able to move up and be that number 4 slot in just the AFC. So he was number 7 last year through the whole NFL, so I can see him being number 4. So who do you got?
So I went with Lamar Jackson. Definitely a tough pick because that like an actual passing would be definitely not the best quarterback, but I think the pass run combo that he can bring to where he can throw 2 touchdowns and run for 2 touchdowns, I definitely makes it a big threat in fantasy football. Throwing for, I know he wasn't throwing for much. I think it was 150, maybe 200 yards a game, but he was also running for over 100 yards a game too. So definitely, I think that's what makes it difference. I know you're not getting your natural quarterback like Ryan Tannehill, Herbert, and everything like that. But I think Lamar Jackson would be. That's what makes him a step, because at number 5 I have Tannehill.
Okay.
And that's what makes the difference between them, is because he's not throwing it a lot like Tannehill, but also he's definitely running the ball, and I think he's also just going to take another step this year. He's got Mark Andrews to throw to. I know with wide receivers, Marquise Brown had a bad season last year, but I think between that, working Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, definitely throwing them the ball more, getting out of his hands, taking less hits. I think he takes that next step, so that's why I went with Lamar over Tannehill this year.
And that's what I have. I have Lamar in my 5 slot here. And I'd like to say I think they're almost interchangeable to me, but I just think as a passer this year with the weapons that Tannehill has, that's why I moved him above Lamar, because Lamar has struggled with throwing the football. But he doesn't have the weapons. He has Mark Andrews, and that's really it. I mean, they got Rashad Bateman, yes. Marquise Brown isn't anything crazy, and Samuel Watkins. I just don't think they're doing Lamar any justice by not getting him somebody that he can rely on. Even Stephon Diggs. Josh Allen doesn't have that year if Stephon Diggs isn't there. So, if you get Lamar, a guy like Stephon that he can just throw to, when he knows, all right, it's 3rd and 4, I'm going to this guy, he's going to catch him, make a play for me, and give me that first down that I need. But like you said, I have him in that 5 slot because he is such a great runner, and you can't take that away from a quarterback. They're just if a quarterback can run and throw, they're that much better of an option to have.
Especially for fantasy, you're getting that rushing 6. We play the 4 passing, 6 rushing, so it's definitely. Also, I want to make a correction. I said earlier, Mahomes actually had a worse completion passing. That was actually a projection, but he threw for 66%, while Josh Allen threw for 69%. Mahomes did average about 30 yards more per game, so got that wrong. But that's what. That's why I think makes them so close, because it's almost the same about his stats. Yeah. It's just more of
right there.
Who do you think will get it's literally going to go back and forth, I think, with those 2.
And that's what did Lamar throw for last year? Because I know last year people were extremely down on how he was throwing the football. It wasn't great, but it'll be enough to get by for Lamar.
Yep, so he threw 2,757 yards, 183 game. 64 completion percentage, so it's definitely not the typical Mahomes, Josh Allen, but I think, like I said, just with that running aspect, you're getting more points with that rushing touchdown, and I think it's just another year. Love Harbaugh as coach, and I think he's just going to have another great season. It's a tough division. We both like the Browns winning that division, so with those defenses, it could be a challenging year for him, but I think he's going to get the job done.
He's one that he can do what he did in his MVP season and make us both look dumb. But I just think, I don't know, he struggles with throwing the ball, and he has nobody to throw the ball to.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my big thing on why he was number 5. And then you had Tannehill at 5, so you switched with, so we can switch 4 5.
I was going to wonder if you were going to put Watson in that list or not.
I thought about it, but after I.
But what's actually, you have to remember, it's a fantasy podcast, so it's just like.
Well, and he's going to be, if he was playing, he'd be up there.
He'd be up there, but like.
But he's going to be a healthy scratch
idea.
this year, and I don't think he's going to play for the Texans.
No. So, yeah, I'm not even worried about
him.
him.
Outside of with all the allegations and everything, so I just didn't even think about. I didn't want to touch him. So.
Nope, I agree 100%.
And then you had Tannehill at 5.
Yep. Tannehill pretty much just went on. I love the offense. I think what might make a difference is, like you said, with Derrick Henry back there, almost the difference is the rushing. And Tannehill actually does have a couple of rushing touchdowns last year.
He can move.
He's definitely a game play. He's a great person behind the ball and he just knows what to do with it. But I think you might see him go down just a little bit because he's done it for about 2 years now. And I definitely. It's going to be interesting. You know, he has Julio now. Definitely has A.J. Brown, but I just think there was just a slight edge to give Lamar Jackson. Like, Tannehill at number 4, I'm perfectly fine with that. I think he's in a great offense.
You can easily change either one, but that's what Titans have a new offense coordinator, too, so I'm just curious to see what that's going to look like this year, too. So yeah, those were our top 5 for quarterbacks in the AFC, so let's go ahead and move on over to... I think these might be a little different.
I think these are.
Let's go top 5 running backs this year in the fantasy.
Okay. Did you mention that this is for PPR?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because my first one's pretty.
Yeah. So first one with PPR in the AFC, I went with Austin Eckler.
That's what I want.
He was hurt last season, so it's definitely hard to grade him. But when he is on that field, he is getting the ball rushes. He's getting those. Targets, he's getting those
The
catches.
only thing that hurts him is his goal line touches. He won't get as many. But, looking back, I went back to 2019 and looked this up. He had 109 targets out of the backfield. So, I don't see why that wouldn't continue. Maybe 109 is a lot, but maybe he'll be around that 100 mark. So, I don't see why he wouldn't be so far down there. But, yeah, like you said, he really has nobody else to compete with. Keenan Allen, we know he can do. Jared Cook, and then I think it'll just be a nice little safety net for Justin Herbert just drop down to. So
definitely,
that's why I think he'll rack up points strictly based off catching the football in a PPR league.
Yeah, so. I definitely want to keep him in the offensive line got a lot better.
Yeah, they did.
And I think that just makes Eckler, Herbert, everyone on that offense just that much better.
And I think he'll run the ball a lot better than he has. I think this is. I watched an interview with him. I think he was saying this is his first year that he feels like he's actually healthy. So I'm curious to see what he's going to do, and I think he'll be great and be able. He'll take over the. I think he'll be one of the top scorers in fantasy.
Yeah, I definitely think. I think
to get to you have another 2,000-yard rusher like Henry, but I just don't see that happening again. So who do you have for number 2 here?
So number 2, I think we have different. Definitely, I'm higher on him than you are. I'm going with Jonathan Taylor. I know, so it's definitely tough going with him at number 2 because you definitely have Hines back there that can takes a lot of targets, a lot of those catches for you. But I think I'm putting my chips on Jonathan Taylor taking over that role. I know Hines will be like that James White third down, be able to get those catches. But I think with Wentz back there, whoever you have back there, first, second down, whatever, Jonathan Taylor's going to be your safety net. He's going to be your dump off. He's going to get the rushes. I think he is the ultimate running back. I think he can be your Austin Eckler. I think he can be that guy. And I know you got Marlon Mack. I know you got Hines back there. But I think this is the year he takes that step. I'm all in on Jonathan Taylor. Love Jonathan Taylor. And that's why I have my number 2.
And that's what I see why you put him there. But I just, like I said, Hines and Marlon Mack just are what takes it away from me with Jonathan. He's not going to catch the ball, really. He didn't really do that at Wisconsin. He's a downhill runner, and that's what he's going to do. So that's, I don't have him there at number 2. And because of, we're not really sure when Wentz is going to come back, although we've heard it sooner rather than later. I don't like Jonathan Taylor that high. I think he'll be productive again, but I just don't think he will be back there because they speak highly on Hines and Mack as well. So I think they're going to try to get the ball out to those guys and get all three involved and just rotate so they don't have to deal with that injury bug like they kind of did last year.
Yeah, that's what makes it tough. Like, if Jonathan Taylor was just by himself, like, I would have him above Austin Eckler. I think he's a great running back, and it's going to be interesting. He did take over at the end of that last season, but Marlon Mack was gone all last season, so you never had to worry about him. And the Colts really like him. They thought before he got hurt, before they got Jonathan Taylor, they were all about Marlon Mack. So
and
that's what makes it tough.
A couple times last year, so it's kind of it might be a week by week thing on who gets the touches the most there. So I don't hate Jonathan Taylor up there, but I think that's a little too high. For my number 2, I have old reliable Nick Chubb back there. I just think even with Kareem Hunt, you can't not go with Nick Chubb. He's last year missing 4 games. He still finished right outside the top 10. He was number 11 in a PPR system. So I just think that he is the most consistent, and I think Cleveland is a let's run the ball first type of team. So I don't see why he can't continue to get 15-plus carries a game, and he will do the most with that 15-plus because their offensive line's good. And like I said, Cleveland looks to run the ball first, and they play in Cleveland. Like, the weather is not the best there consistently to where they can trust Baker to throw. Like last year, they played, I think, the Colts or something. It was 9-6, and the wind was miserable. You couldn't even throw. You could barely kick a field goal. So I think he gets a lot of... He'll get at least 15-plus carries a game, and I think he'll continue to produce high-value running games with touchdowns as well. I know Kareem Hunt gets in there for touchdowns, but, if they score 2 touchdowns, usually it's 1 to Chubb, 1 to Hunt. So you can't really... And then sometimes Chubb can get a couple more, and he does break off runs. So I like Chubb as number 2. I think he will be the better one in Cleveland again this year, and I think he'll still get those first down, second down type of plays, and then Hunt might come in for third, but he'll still get, I think I read last year, 40 targets, so I don't hate that with Chubb. I would like more in a PPR, but I think he'll be fine with that, especially PPR. If you can get a guy who can run the ball and finish usually within the top 10, and that's all he does is run and not catch, then I would take that any day. So I like Chubb as my number 2 this year.
Yeah, big fan of Chubb. Definitely consistent. I think you know what you're getting with him. I don't think he's going to... I feel like it's going to be about the same as last season, kind of like what he does, and he had a great season last season. I think the Kareem Hunt does scare me a little bit, and I think when you're trying to talk about PPR, it's definitely... about those targets, about those receptions, and Kareem Hunt does take a lot. Yeah. But if Kareem Hunt ever goes down, Nick Chubb has it's his backfield, and it's definitely something to take a look at. And I do really like him. I actually had him at number 2 at first, but then when I was thinking about it, the PPR, that's when I went with Jonathan Taylor, and then I'll go on to my next one, which isn't Nick Chubb. I'll go on to my third after
this.
But
does Jonathan Taylor really catch the ball as much as Nick Chubb?
I think he will.
You think so?
Yeah,
I think they're pretty much identical, and out of those two, I'd take Nick Chubb over Jonathan Taylor for sure.
I don't know. It's more with Jonathan Taylor. It's more of what I think will happen, not what I've seen happen.
Yeah,
it's kind of that's where I'm at with that. Like when you're picking in the middle of the first round, I would take Nick Chubb over Jonathan Taylor.
Because you don't know.
Because you don't know what you're going to get. But at the same time, I'm just saying how I feel about Jonathan Taylor, that at the end of the season...
You think he'll be top 10?
He'll be in
between the AFC version.
Yeah. I definitely think he'll be there. I can't wait to find out. I might be totally wrong about that, and they love Marlon Mack, and they love Hines, and it's just like...
A rotation.
Which would suck, because I think they'd be a waste of Jonathan Taylor's talent. He's definitely better than all 3, but it is what it is. So, but yeah. So going on to my third one... You're going to think this is pretty interesting. I'm going with Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon.
I hate Joe Mixon.
I know you do.
I cannot stand the fact that he continues to be in a first, beginning second round pick because he does nothing year after year. Well, 2 years ago, yeah, he might. I think he had a pretty solid year, but it just seems like anytime I pick that man, he gets hurt for 7 games and just is never seen. Like,
yep.
I don't like the Bengals. They're terrible. I hate their offensive line. I just don't think he'll be good. But go on. Why
this is why I think number 3, because I totally get it, the injuries and everything. But I'm going into the fantasy season like no one's going to get hurt, and I know everyone will, and I know Joe Mixon will.
But it's the Bengals.
But it's also the Bengals. But it's also Joe Mixon's backfield. He has first, second, third down. It's all him. If he stays healthy, he got 90% of the rushing attempts last year. Like it's his backfield. Joe Burrow, it's another season. I love Joe Burrow, and I think what they're going to do is try to get out of Joe Burrow's hands so he's not getting killed back there. And there's going to be plays for Joe Mixon. There's going to be plays for Higgins, Tyler Boyd, all of them. And I think if just Joe Mixon can stay healthy, I think he can prove what he is as a running back. But it is with the health. I think if he can play 14, 15, 16 games, I think he'll be very surprised how high he is on top of that running back list.
I get why you put him there, because he is that guy in the backfield for them. The workload's going to be there for him. Mm-hmm. But again, it's kind of like, dude, it's just every year. He's always... It's like,
I know you hate
see
him.
those things, and it's
do.
like, oh, look, there's Joe Mixon. Don't draft him. It's like, oh, Joe Mixon.
And I know everyone that's going to listen to this will be like, that's a stupid-ass pick. Like, do I hate you? Everyone, I feel like, has dealt with Joe Mixon once in their life.
I guarantee they have. He's the worst.
Yep.
So I'll give you a real third player for the AFC. That's Derrick Henry. No surprise there. Just because he is that workhorse, and I mean, I thought he was going to have a slower year last year, and he proved me wrong there and had 2,000 yards. So I just feel like this guy is almost impossible to tackle for NFL people, especially like they say. Like, I know, like, I'm Barstool Big Cat and PFT joke about it, but once it's colder, you don't want to hit a guy like that. So I think he'll continue to get a lot of touches. Like I said, he had nearly 700 in the last 2 years, just attempts running the football. I think it comes down a little bit just because maybe they want to save Derrick Henry a little bit. But then again, I mean, I think the addition of Julio and having A.J. Brown, I think being there for a full year changes everything for him, and it might open up his running even more, which is like scary to think about if they spread out and then they're like, oh, here's Derrick Henry with a five-man box. Like, go ahead and tackle him, safeties and cornerbacks, and let's see what you can do. So I think Derrick Henry's there just because he gets so many attempts, and he is such a hard runner and a big body to bring down. So, and with the additions of Julio, I just think it's all going to be there for him. I just don't think I just think they'll kind of rail back some just because they're going to maybe try to throw the ball more, maybe give him a little bit more break to try to cool, like make sure he doesn't get hurt or something through this year, just because I can only imagine what your body feels like after 330 attempts a year. So what? I'll just say the rest of my list. I have Nick Chubb, and then I have Derrick Henry at number 5. Okay. With Nick Chubb, I think the thing with him, he gets more passes in the backfield, so that's why I do like him over Derrick Henry. One thing why I have Derrick Henry at 5, and I love Derrick Henry, there's like, if you like him, go get him. Hopefully, like, I'm not saying he's going to have a bad season. I think those carries do add up a little bit. And another thing, so he was running back 2 last year behind Kamara. And Derrick Henry had over 2,000 rushing yards. And he had over 200 or 190 rushes more than Kamara. Yeah. And ended up still behind him. So when you're looking at PPR, I think it's definitely into something to look at is those catches in the backfield, because for Derrick Henry to get that number 2 spot, he needs to run for 2,000 yards. And he, out of everyone in this league, he can definitely do it. Yeah. And I think it's just really relying on someone to run for 2,000 yards, that can be hard for me to do, and that's why he fell on my list. But if he runs for 2,000 yards, and I hope he does, and I think he's a beast, and I think that's the only reason why he dropped on my list, because if he gets hurt for a few games,
or he doesn't get the yards like you think he will, doesn't have those big explosive games where he ran for over 200 yards a couple of games. If he doesn't get those, then he's definitely falling underboard, falling down because he's not getting the receptions in the backfield.
Yeah, and I mean, I just think he'll kind of get more touchdown touches this year if they do take some of those attempts off his workload. But yeah, so you went Henry 4.
No, I went Chubb 4.
Henry 4.
And it was 5. Pretty much the same. Like, I love both of them. I think just because Chubb can have a little bit more catches in that.
So, I actually went with the guy that you really like at 4, and that was Nanji Harris. Just because I think Pittsburgh will throw the ball a lot, and they'll try to run the ball a lot, and they've already said Najee is their 3-down back, and he's going to be the one that they want to get the ball to. So, I think he will be their running back 1, and for 3-down back. And I think Big Ben, he looks better than he did last year, but I think he'll have more opportunity to dump it down to a guy like Najee and be perfectly okay with that. So that's why I have Najee there.
Yeah, I love Najee. Like, he was one of my rookies that's going to bust out, and he could definitely win Rookie of the Year. Reason why he's not on my list is just because he hasn't played a single down in the regular season. Definitely tough to put rookies on there. And it's hard to know what exactly, but like at the same time, I'm putting Jonathan Taylor at 2 because I'm thinking what he's going to do. But it's tough for me to draft pick rookies, but I definitely see him next year being 1-2 on my list, especially is what I think he can do.
And and I know it's a risk to put him up there, but I just think with them saying he's going to be our guy, first, second, third down, I just think he's going to get some catches. And he's going to run the ball a lot, and I think he will get some touchdown touches. So I don't see why you can't put him up there, especially like if he can average, 4 catches a game, even with 30 yards. That's 7 points right there easily. So I don't see why he can't be in the top 5 with that. And then my last guy that I have, I don't know how I feel about this one. I threw him in there. I was going to do Jonathan Taylor. But then I thought about it, I was like, no. And I kind of went to this guy who kind of finished the season on a high note last year with the Ravens, is J.K. Dobbins. Just because their offense is so run-oriented, I think he will get a lot of touches this year, and not having Mark Ingram and then Gus Edwards being the other option for them. I think out of those two, I think Dobbins is a better pass catcher. And watching him at Ohio State, he's a great runner, and he just makes plays. So I think we will see him continue to grow in the running game, and I think they will get him more involved in pass games to maybe help Lamar out with trying to read defenses. So if it's like nothing's there, hey, there's Dobbins, dump it off. Let's see what he can do with the football. So I put J.K. Dobbins there, and I think he will get a target share, like a little bit of a bump, because they don't have anybody to really throw the ball to either outside of Mark Andrews. So that's why I put J.K. Dobbins to sneak in at that number 5 as one of the better PPR running backs this year.
Yeah, I thought about J.K. Dobbins. I feel like with Lamar having that option to run the ball himself definitely hurts J.K. Dobbins more than I think anyone else on that team. I think it's especially having Gus Edwards as well on that team can definitely hurt him. I know I've read where they're definitely been trying to work on his pass catching in the backfield for Dobbins, definitely wanting that to be another option for Lamar. And I can definitely see J.K. Dobbins being on that top 5 list. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I just think of what that offense ran through. It goes through Lamar, and it's either pass Mark Andrews, one of his wide receivers, run, and I think throwing to J.K. Dobbins might be his third option. So it's definitely, but I can also see them wanting Lamar to get hit less. Like, he takes a lot of hits. Like, he needs to stay in that pocket more, and instead of taking the ball for 5 yards and getting crushed, give to J.K. Dobbins, let him go the 5 yards, do what he's supposed to do. So I can definitely see him getting in that top 5.
Try to use Lamar, maybe use Lamar more of as a disguise guy instead of actually a guy that is, or instead of like this way it opens up more for guys like J.K. Dobbins or so that's who I have at 5. So I have Eckler at 1, Chubb at 2, Henry at 3. Nanji Harris at 4, and then Dobbins at 5, and then you had
I had Austin Eckler from the Chargers, Jonathan Taylor from the Colts, Joe Mixon from the Bengals, Derrick Henry. Actually, I did have Derrick Henry 4. That's my bad. I thought I had him at 5, but I had Derrick Henry at 4 Titans, and I had Nick Chubb at 5 for the Browns. Yeah.
Okay. So that wraps up our top 5 running backs. Now, top 5 wide receivers, I feel like this can be pretty similar.
I feel like it might be number 5, might be a little bit different, but I think we both probably have.
Do we both? Who's your number 1?
I have Tyreek Hill.
Okay, I have Tyreek Hill as well, just because he is with Mahomes.
I think there's not much to even talk about. Like, he's
fastest human being I've ever seen in my life, and he's like 5'10".
Yep, and he can catch the ball. He can run routes. He can.
My least favorite thing in the world is when we're watching games here on Sunday, and you know that Chiefs fan that's here, and I see Mahomes run around, he just throws it up.
Yeah.
I just know it's going to be a touchdown. I hate every second of it because it's going to be Hill just running under the ball and catching it. So
yeah, unless you get him on your team, then you're loving it. So
well, it's like last year when he was with the Buccaneers. What, he had 200 yards in the first half? Like first quarter. I've never been more devastated in my life having to play him that week. But I mean, Tyreek Hill is just going to be Tyreek Hill, and he has Mahomes, who in Andy Reid's offense. So I think it's pretty much a weekly thing. Hey, choose Kelsey or Hill. Who are you going to try to stop this week?
You have to win. It's a win-win. You're not gonna.
You mean lose? Yeah.
Well, if you're trying to choose who you're playing, it's a win-win. If you're who you're against, it's a lose-lose then.
So we both have Tyreek Hill with Chiefs at 1. Who's your number 2?
I have Stephon Diggs from the Bills.
Okay, I had him as well. I just think, like I said, he is Josh Allen's safety blanket. I went back and looked. He had 9 games with 10-plus targets. So that just shows that the Bills want to get him the football.
Consistent.
Yeah, and Josh Allen just loves him. I'm watching him last year. He's a great route runner, and they move him around all over the field. And he's just, I don't know. I didn't see it coming last year. He dropped like the 6th round. But, I mean,
it was because he was on the Vikings. It was definitely back when Thielen was going off. Diggs was the back burner of that, and then when he became the number 1, definitely showed up. Definitely was like, hey, I'm the number 1 guy, and I think Josh Allen loves him. He's definitely stepped up, so I don't see how. And
I think he'll add some more touchdowns this year than what he had last year, but I think there's like 1, 2. I think in my mind in the AFC is definitely Tyreek 1, Stephon 2, and I can see why. Like if you really like Stephon because of his targets that he gets, then I can see why you put him at 2 because Hill does have to compete with Kelsey. So, Stephon Diggs, I think 1, 2, either way you could go with him there. But I like him at number 2 just behind Hill, and I think he'll have another great year like he did last year. So, number 3, though, I had A.J. Brown.
So do I.
Okay.
I didn't know if you were because my 3 and 4 are actually really close, but I went to A.J. Brown.
That's what my 4 and him were very close to, but I don't think we have the same one. But he had 10 touchdown catches last year, and he missed 2 weeks. So I think his bond with Tannehill will be higher than Tannehill with Julio, and I think the addition of Julio, I'll keep saying it again, is only going to help him. But A.J. Brown, you wouldn't think it, but people couldn't tackle him last year after he got the football, and he's a great route runner. He's not overly big. He's not going to do anything, but people couldn't tackle him, and he just got open every time. Yeah. So that's why I like him there.
And I think some people are saying Julio's going to take targets and receptions away, which honestly might happen.
I don't think it's going to be a lot.
That actually help. Won't hurt him as much, but I think it might even help him because he won't be. Definitely won't have that double coverage on him, especially if Julio's on the other side. Yeah. Takes him away and definitely can help him out there. So I'm definitely big on A.J. Brown. He was 3rd last year in wide receivers from the AFC behind Tyreek Hill and Diggs. So I think he's just going to fall in line again this year and just
take I just think he'll continue to be successful with the Titans and Tannehill. And I think, like with Julio, like you said, he might take some targets, but I don't think it's going to be a crazy amount. So. Who do you have at number 4?
Number 4, I have Keenan Allen.
That's what I have as well.
He was number 4 last year in AFC. But I think these top 4, they're just better than every.
Well, that's what they have Stephon lower than Brown, and I think they have Stephon not as high this year as some of the other ones.
Yeah, I don't know why.
And I think with Keenan Allen, I think he could easily surpass that because, like Stephon, Keenan Allen is Herbert's guy. And last year he proved that he was a top 5 guy with Herbert as his starter. And I think, and he had 10 games of 10-plus targets. I think he had a couple with almost 20. So I just don't see how that'll just go away. There's really not a number 2 to worry about.
You have Mike Williams, but I don't think Mike Williams is something that's with everything, Keane Allen was second last year in targets in the AFC with 147.
That's what I mean. So he's going to get his target looks. They're going to throw the ball a lot. I think they'll still have to throw it around just because, Austin Eckler isn't the pound. We're going to go, here's the ball, 5 yards, let's go. It's more of they're probably going to spread you out, try to beat you through the air, especially with Herbert. And really the only guy he has to worry about getting any touches from him is Austin Eckler. So I could even see him moving up this list. I could see him going to 3.
Yep, that's why I was saying that so close.
Yeah, so Keenan Allen will be up there easily, especially in the AFC. So, there's no number 2, and his connection with Herbert will only build off of what happened.
Herbert with the rookie, definitely going to build off something. And
they didn't have an offseason last year like they did this year, so they're going to be. I think it's going to be way better than what it is, and getting him, he goes later than a lot of the wide receivers are anyway. So I like him, especially in a PPR league. Who do you got at number 5?
I think we might be a little different here, but I have Deontay Johnson for the Steelers.
That's what I have.
Really? Okay.
Just because I'm very high on Deontay Johnson. I think he's going to be the best receiver in Pittsburgh. But he had 10 games of 10-plus targets a game.
Yep, he had 144, just 3 behind Keenan Allen last year.
Insane. He might not have produced a whole lot of yardage, but he gets the targets. He did have some drop issues, but I think he'll continue to be kind of like Big Ben's guy to throw to, like AB kind of was. I like Juju, I like Chase Claypool, but I still think Deontay is just a better route runner, and I think he fits he can pretty much go anywhere on the field and win his route and then be there for Big Ben. So that's why I like him, and I just think he'll continue to get the target share. It might go down. I think it'll go down some because Claypool's going to be in his second year. Juju did sign this 1 year
proving back there too that can definitely catch.
And Ebron.
Yeah. So there's a lot to go around, but I think Deontay Johnson is his safety blanket for sure. And just with all those targets, it was definitely, like I said, 3 less targets, but actually had 12 less catches than Keenan Allen. So you definitely have those drops coming to play. Yeah. And then also, but at the same time, Keenan Allen's snap percentage last year was 84%, and Deontay Johnson was 71%.
Yeah.
So when he's on the field, he's getting the ball. Definitely, and it might not be for the 20, 30-yard touchdown, but you're getting 6, 7 catches a game. That's 7 points right there, plus maybe another 70 yards. So that's another
catches a touchdown.
A touchdown, yeah. So I think just looking at all the wide receivers left on the board, I just think Deontay Johnson definitely is definitely you know what he's getting with what you're getting with Deontay Johnson.
And I know a lot of people and I've read a lot that Claypool might overtake and be that one guy.
So some people really love Claypool over him.
I mean, you take Deontay. I just think he's better, but you can't really go wrong choosing
Claypool. It might be Deontay Johnson 5, Claypool 6.
Right there. And I just think he's there for them, but he's not going to be. He's on a year. He'll catch a couple passes and do his thing, and then go sign somewhere else, and then that's kind of Juju the Steelers. So, so we'll round them out. We have the same exact order. We both have Tyreek Hill with Chiefs at 1, Diggs with the Bills at 2, AJ Brown with the Titans at 3, Keenan Allen with the Chargers at 4, and then Deontay Johnson with the Steelers at 5. The next one, the tight ends, I think we can go through pretty quickly. It's pretty self-explanatory, I think.
Yeah.
I think I might have one guy.
I think the top 3 are going to be.
But we'll see. So we both have Travis Kelce at 1. Okay, that's easy just because.
Yeah.
Kelce's a guy you could pick up in round 1, put him at your flex, and then pick up
another tight end.
Pick up our number 2, Darren Waller, in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
I've thought about doing that.
Yep, I think it's not, especially if you can get a good running back. I think especially when you're doing 2 flexes as well, have that 1 flex beat Travis Kelce. But the only thing is just you need him to put up the same season as he did last year. If you think so, I think it's a great idea, or not something to be, because then Waller is getting his targets. He's that main one for Derek Carr.
And I think John Gruden loves tight ends.
Yep.
So Kelsey being the clear one, like not even close to number 2.
Yep.
But I think Darren Waller is the only guy that will somewhat compete for that. I think he'll have a better year than George Kittle, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Just because John Gruden loves tight ends, Derek Carr really doesn't have anybody else to throw to other than like Ruggs. So I think they're really going to Darren Waller will take over the number 2 overall, but I think he'll also still be the number 2 tight end in the AFC because, like you said, Carr loves him. John Gruden, I think, loves him, and they don't really have anybody else to throw to. Who do you got number 3?
I got Mark Andrews.
Yeah, I thought about putting him there, but the Lamar thing scared me with him. I do like Mark Andrews a lot, but I just don't think they're going to throw the ball a whole lot. And I don't have Mark Andrews there. I have Mark Andrews at 4. So, but do you think Mark Andrews will continue to get?
I think that's what he will, because he did have a little bit of a down season last year, and definitely can make you question yourself a little bit. But I think he was a number 6 tight end overall just throughout the whole season, and was number 3 in the AFC as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's just more about, like you said, Lamar. He did have over 700 yards, had 88 targets. So I think in that offense, 88 targets is actually a lot, I feel like.
Yeah.
So I think definitely can make that step in. Just he's that security blanket for Lamar Jackson, especially with the wide receivers. No one's taking over. He needs someone to throw to, and I think Mark Andrews can be that guy. I think it goes Travis Kelce, big dip, Darren Waller, big dip, and then you got like the Mark Andrews and everyone else. I don't think Mark Andrews is going to be close to Darren Waller besides like an injury, of course. And I think
Mark Andrews will be solid, and that's why I put him up here at 4, because I think he will. But at 3 for me, I put Noah Fant.
I have Noah Fant at 4.
Because I think with the upgrade to Bridgewater, I think the Broncos' offense is built to get guys like Noah Fant involved. He was a high draft pick out of college. Super athletic. His whole thing has been injuries, and I just don't know if he'll be able to stay healthy. But I love Noah Fant's athleticism at the tight end position, and I think he will be, especially if you can get him late in like the 8th round, 7th, 8th round, 9th round. He's a great guy to pick up, especially after the news with Teddy Bridgewater becoming the starter. So I like him there because you kind of got Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, and then you can throw in Noah Fant coming around as well. So I think he'll have a bigger year than Mark Andrews, just because I think he might get more targets than we think he'll get. And if he can stay healthy, I think he can be a top wide receiver. I think he'll get more touchdown end zone looks than like they will try to run it sometimes. So.
Yeah, I think I read Noah Fant he's actually questionable for week 1 already because of injury, and I think that's definitely why he put him at number 4. Another thing was the touchdowns, because he only had 3 last year compared to Mark Andrews had 7.
Yeah.
And so if you do think they'll start with Teddy Bridgewater, if he will go more to the tight end, I think Noah Fant being that number 3 spot can definitely make sense.
They're both interchangeable.
And so, it's more just on injury now. Who gets more? I think you're right. Fant will get more targets just because they're going to throw the ball a lot more. Yeah. The running back positions there, it's a little questionable between Gordon and Williams. So definitely Teddy will throw the ball more, and I think Fant will get those targets. Just about staying healthy and the touchdown red zone. Targets.
So I could see him slipping to number 4 as well around him, especially with injuries and everything. So, but that's why I had number 3 and I had Andrews at 4. Who do you have at 5?
Gesicki for the Dolphins.
Okay, so I thought about putting Gesicki there, and I love Mike Gesicki, but I didn't put him there just because of I think someone else might be able to do a little bit better just because of target shares. Just because with the Dolphins, I think they're going to throw a lot to Waddle. But then again, like Mike Gesicki was another option they had great late. But so I don't know. I had him there, but then I took him off and I put someone else there for right now.
Yep, like I said, he's up there with the target share with Noah Fant and Mark Andrews. I was big on him and just the reception touchdown 6. It seemed like Tua really liked him, definitely went to him late. And that's why number 5. I was back and forth. I'll hear what your number 5 is first, and I'll tell you who I was kind of going back and forth with.
Oh, yeah. So, like, after these 4, I was like, I think Gesicki can easily work his way up into 3-4 as well. But this guy could also possibly do it, and it's Jared Cook for the Chargers for me. Hunter Henry last year for the Chargers averaged 7-8 targets a game, which for a tight end is big. So I think Jared Cook can easily step in and take that role, especially with Hunter Henry being gone now and Keenan Allen being that guy and then really having nobody else outside Austin Eckler. I think Jared Cook might see that same target where he gets maybe 6-7 targets a game. He might get some goal line touches and everything. And I think he can run down the field and make plays as well. So I like Jared Cook to slide in there at number 5, just above Gesicki. But like I said, I could see Gesicki easily doing it as well. They're kind of interchangeable for me.
Yep. So that definitely agree with Jared Cook there. We're really big on the Chargers offense. So I think looking late at drafts, or even maybe picking Jared Cook up off the waiver wire. It depends on how many teams. So that's definitely someone to look to, especially when you're playing maybe not good passing defenses or defenses that are not good against tight ends that the Chargers are playing. I think that's a great pickup and could definitely. Jared Cook has proven that he can be a top 5 tight end and like a great tight end. So I definitely like that pick. I was between. I really liked him. I like Gesicki, and I was also big on Hunter Henry. Don't know how the Patriots.
He's hurt right now, though.
How long is he out?
I looked up today. They're thinking he's going to be out for a little bit.
I thought he was coming back.
He might miss the first couple weeks or something. Because that's who I was going to slide in right there. Was Hunter Henry before, and then I was reading stuff on him.
Yeah, that's actually because of the injury, because being injured last year, and I know he's been injured for most of the preseason. I didn't know when he would be coming back, but that would be the reason why he's not on my list anyways, because of the injuries.
Yeah, Hunter Henry I was going to put there, but then I was reading up on it, and I think he might take a little hit with him being injured and everything, and you got Jonnu Smith there as well. So it's going to be both who are very interchangeable and everything. So my tight ends for this year, top 5 AFC, were Travis Kelce Chiefs, Darren Waller Raiders, Noah Fant Broncos, Mark Andrews with the Ravens, and then Jared Cook with the Dolphins.
Yep, and then I just had Kelce, Waller, Andrews, Noah Fant Broncos, Mike Gesicki Dolphins.
Perfect. Okay. And then the last thing we're going to do before we move to our gambling is just go over our top 5 sleepers, and this is just based off 8th round or later. So we'll just kind of give you who we think will be our top guys going down. We'll just give you 5. For the AFC, who do you got at number 1?
Number 1, the two sleepers I actually talked about. They're both in the AFC and they're going after 8th pick, so those are definitely my 1-2. My number 1 is actually Michael Pittman. I think him could be a number 1 wide receiver for a team that has a chance to make the playoffs. And if Wentz can stay healthy for that, I don't see I can see him being definitely a top 10 wide receiver in the AFC. Definitely, and you're getting him in the late 11th round, 12th round, depends on if you have keepers or not. So I think it would be a great pick to have number 1 wide receiver in the 11th round. For a team that's making the playoff, I know they're definitely going to run the ball. He's not going to be a Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, or anything like that. But definitely getting a top 10 guy in the conference late would be a great pick.
And I have him on the list as well. I think he will be good. Just depends when Carson Wentz gets back for me. But yeah, I like him a lot. And I also have Paris Campbell with him. I kind of paired him too with Indy. So those both are people that I think you should definitely look out for. Paris Campbell, you only got to worry about injuries. Kind of with Michael Pittman too, though. He was hurt a couple times last year, but I think he has the ideal body frame of what you want in a wide receiver. He's 6'4". He's athletic, and I think he will slide in, especially if you can get him late, 10, 11, 12. It's a great value pick for him there, just to kind of wait. And it might take a couple games, but I think he'll definitely develop. So I had him at number 2. But my number 1 was actually Corey Davis. I'm very high on Corey Davis right now. I think for his value, he's going mid 11th. definitely the the Jets' number one receiver. And with Zach Wilson right now, Elijah Moore's kind of hurt. I think you'll see a lot of Corey Davis action early, and you'll see a lot of targets to him and everything. So I like Corey Davis to be my top guy late in the rounds. I think he'll get a lot of targets. He'll be Zach Wilson's safety blanket, and that's who I like to go there. First for me in the sleepers is Corey Davis, and then I had Pittman and Campbell at 2.
And I had Corey Davis at 2.
Yeah.
So Corey Davis is, me and you both been on high on Elijah Moore, and he actually might be on your list. He's not on mine, but Elijah Moore. But definitely from that last game, how many targets Corey Davis had, how much Zach Wilson had a great game, and it was throwing to Corey Davis.
Yeah.
I think seeing a positivity in the wide receiver that he liked to rely on there, I think is what you need to do. I know it's the Jets. We're always saying the Jets, but we're actually high on a few of their young guys, and Corey Davis is going to be that number one wide receiver. So I think it's a great pick, and he's my number 2.
And for me, Zach Wilson is slowly creeping up to be a guy I take really late just to have. Mm-hmm. Because I think he might be, I don't think he'll put up huge numbers, but he'll be a reliable guy that maybe get you. He might be like a Justin Herbert of last year. Maybe not as crazy as numbers, but I think he'll be pretty solid like he was. So, who'd you have at 3 here?
At number 3, I actually had their running back, and Michael Carter. And because I'm high on him, I want to see him in that backfield. Zach Wilson, rookie. You want to kind of rely on your running game a little bit, and they're trying to build a team there. It's not going to be the Jets here. They're not doing anything. I think if you can have a bright spot on that offense between Zach Wilson, Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, and Michael Carter, I think should be a great pick. And you're getting him in the 11th, 12th round as well. Yeah. And so I think he doesn't need to be started. He probably won't be starting for you. Especially, I would love if it was Dynasty. If I can get that in Dynasty, get him, I would love that. But if you're definitely drafting him being their 3rd, 4th running back, maybe if he does break out, you get a steal for sure.
Yeah, and that's what Michael Carter, he definitely showed that he was the number one. I think he had 10 to start the game. He had 10 carries to start it, so I think he's definitely their number one, and they're going to ride with him. But they'll definitely rotate. But yeah, I don't hate Michael Carter there. I just worry about what they're going to do. I know the Jets have a pretty solid offensive line this year, so they spent a lot of money on him. So I could see him having a really great year too, and it kind of just depends how Zach Wilson does. If he can throw the ball and everything, like I think he will be able to, then I don't see how Michael Carter can't do great with. The only thing that worries me with him is just does he catch the ball? I don't think he does.
I think in college he did some, but he's competing with Ty Johnson and I forgot who the 3rd running back is, but he might be the 1-2 back. He might see some catches some games, and he might not get any. It's a huge question mark. You just don't know exactly what's going to go on there.
Yeah, and that's what. So with my 3rd is another rookie, but it's not a running back. It's a wide receiver, and that's Jaylen Waddle. I like Jaylen Waddle. He's going kind of mid-8th, late 9th round pick, or not late, early 9th. I just think, based on what we've seen, he's going to be the Dolphins' go-to guy because you don't really know what the running back situation is going to be there. They're trying to do 3 rotations, but they made it an emphasis to get Jaylen Waddle involved in the last preseason game. And I'm curious to see how they're going to look in this next preseason game, but I like Jaylen Waddle a lot. I think he'll get plenty of targets. And with Tua and him kind of already having a connection and everything, and them having an off season to work out, which changes everything compared to the rookies last year, I think Jaylen Waddle will be, especially you could put him in a flex, or if you have 2 flexes like we do, he could easily be that second flex guy that can come in, that you drafted in the 9th and get you 10 points or more a week, especially PPR. So I like Jaylen Waddle. I think he's going to get a huge target share. And I'm going to put him as my number 3 sleeper to look for the AFC. Yep,
definitely a rookie there. I think he actually he'll be eventually, if not right away, that number 1. I think Tua's going to love him. I know you got Gesicki, Devontae Parker, you'll have Will Fuller, and I just think Waddle is the best wide receiver out of all those. He'll definitely take over, he'll get those targets. I don't, I think it's a great sleeper because I don't think you have to worry about him too much.
No.
Besides, like, injury, of course. But I think he'll get his share. It's not going to be like you don't draft a wide receiver top 10 and not give him the ball.
Well, that's what, and
there's a reason why you do
he's
that.
a rookie, so why not take him and one of the, like, hey, let me take a shot on this guy in the 8th. Like, might as well. Because, like, hey, he's going to get a lot of targets. Let's just see if he pans out to be like it's Stephon Diggs, especially if it's a keeper league. Like, want to take the chance on him, then maybe you can keep him later or a dynasty league. It's just so I like Jaylen Waddle there. Who's your number 4 guy?
So number 4, I went with Damian Harris. Been big on him a lot, especially with Michelle out now. Definitely giving him the ball. He's going to get his touches more. Like, the question mark is it Damian Harris backfield every game? Is he sharing a lot? Yeah. How many targets is he going to get? Is he going to get those goal line touches? A lot of questions, but it's definitely a steal. You're going to be in the 10th, 11th round, something like that. And I think it's a great running back. Almost the same with Michael Carter. Doesn't need to be starting for you every week, but if he can show that that's his backfield, he takes over. It's a great steal, great sleeper at the end.
Yeah, I like Damian here, especially late. Like you said, if he is that guy, he'll get plenty of carries, and if Cam Newton's not there, then you've got a great guy to get you goal line touches as well and touchdowns. So I like Damian Harris there late. My number 4 is Robbie Anderson from the Panthers. He's going.
That's NFC.
Oh, duh. Why did I do that? You know why? Because we're doing NFC picks, so I was in my head.
Yeah, because that's what I did. I put NFC because I had Robbie Anderson too.
Anyway, we're going to scratch that, save that for some other time. Henry Ruggs is what I meant to say. But hey, it's actually my 5. So I have Jerry, Jeudy, and Sutton on here. They're kind of going 8th.
I thought I was almost feeling like
7.
Jerry Jeudy
really depends.
Jerry Jeudy going earlier.
So that's why I put Sutton, because I think he's going a little later, and I think Sutton can easily be a solid number 2 flex option for you. He might not be wide receiver 1 or 2, but I think he could easily be that flex guy that you need to get targets and everything late in the year. But I could also see him being a solid wide receiver 2 option. So I like Sutton there. We're just going to scratch Robbie Anderson from this conversation for next week. So, but yeah, I like Cortland Sutton and then Jerry Jeudy too if he drops that late.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think he's not going to be dropping because of especially Teddy Bridgewater. I think Jerry Jeudy, but Cortland Sutton. He's honestly, like, you can say Cortland Sutton's the number 1. I know Jerry Judy's definitely going to take over that spot. But Sutton is definitely, from game 1, he is that number 1. Probably will be getting as much targets. And as with an 8th round pick, being that you're 3rd or 4th wide receiver, you can't beat that. It's a great pick. So at number 5, I have a combo. I have Jaylen Waddle, Will Fuller, Gesicki. One of them, they're all going after the 8th round. A little bit. We talked about Waddle already. He's definitely going to be that number 1. He's a rookie. Number 2, you have Will Fuller. He's definitely going to be suspended. He is suspended in week 1. And if you're looking for that high risk, high reward kind of player,
deep ball
guy, he's definitely going in the 10th, 11th round. Someone you can't start week 1, but if someone gets hurt, he comes in, definitely a good start there. And then Gesicki at the tight end. With all those guys, that's all their wide receivers. And Devontae Parker's going late, but it's not someone I'm targeting in fantasy. But getting one of those guys that late and maybe not having to start them or Gesicki, where you don't pass on all the tight ends, you get wide receivers and running backs. He's a tight end you can get later in the 9th round or so.
And I like all those. I like Gesicki late. I like Fuller, taking a chance on him too. To have him sit a week or 2 on your bench and then start and throw him in there, I think he'll be fine. Especially because they'll try to push the ball downfield, and he's one of the best at doing that.
And if any one of those 3 get hurt, the other 2 makes them that much better.
They'll pick up the load. So my last guy was Henry Ruggs for the Raiders. I just think he's a guy who's going sometimes he's going undrafted. Or he's going 14th, 15th round. The Raiders don't have a whole lot outside of Darren Waller, and I think you give Henry Ruggs a year to work on with Derek Carr, John Gruden, getting them involved in the passing game. I think we'll see he'll get better. I think he can slowly work his way into a high role. I like Henry Ruggs, especially that late in the draft. He would be my top 5. The end of my 5 first sleepers in the AFC, especially like a guy you would kind of take a risk on just to see maybe, hey, it's his second year. Usually you improve a lot your second year, so I like him there.
Yeah, I think it's definitely tough with Darren Waller there, and you don't really, because you're not very impressed what Henry Ruggs did last year with Derek Carr, and also really just depends on how you feel about Derek Carr in general, and if he's going to be good or not. But that's someone to take. He's a free pick, so if you can definitely hit on him, that's definitely a steal late in the rounds, and definitely because you also have. Who was a wide receiver that left? Aguilar. So if he takes over that spot, becomes more of that deep ball while Waller's kind of in the middle of the field, and definitely can take chances, open that field up a little bit for Josh Jacobs and Drake in the backfield. Yeah. Knowing that they can go deep to Ruggs at any time can definitely help that team out and help your team out if you can get that steal in that late round.
Yeah, so that wraps up our top 5s for the AFC in quarterback, running back, tight end, wide receiver, then our sleepers for the AFC. Now we're going to move on over to our gambling topic for this week. We are going to talk about and give picks for our NFC division winners this year. So we'll start with the NFC South between the Falcons, Panthers, Saints, and Buccaneers. Who do you have winning that division?
I got Bucks. I think they're Super Bowl winners. They didn't lose that many players.
That's what
Falcons are going to be bad. Saints, I don't think they're going to be as good. They're definitely rebuilding it.
That's what there's nobody really that is going to be there to mess with the Buccaneers or ruin anything that they did last year. They split with the Saints, and Saints definitely, I think, depending on what they're going to do, I think it's going to either go downhill. It's definitely going to go down a little bit without Breeze. So I also took the Bucs. They're minus 240. They're definitely the favorites to win that league. So, I mean, it's no shocker there, but that's who I would ride with in that division because, like you said, they didn't really lose anybody last year. They have all their weapons back. Their offensive line's still there. Their defense is still really good. So the only thing I wanted to throw in with that division, just keep an eye out for the Panthers to win more than 7.5 games. At plus 100, like I said, they won 5 games with no CMC. They lost 8 games by a touchdown or less last year. So
yeah, if CMC stays healthy,
yeah.
I can definitely see them, because it's also, you got to remember, it's a 17-game season. So if that goes under and they get 7,
Darnold, and I don't think he'll be as bad.
I don't think they're 7-10. You play the Falcons twice. I think that's 2 wins. You can steal one at home against the Saints.
And they play the 26 easiest schedule.
Yeah, so that's 3 right there. So I definitely think they can definitely hit that over. I like that over a lot.
So that's what. So just because the Buccaneers was such a, good pick, we're just going for winners, not making bold statements. So I just want to throw that one out there at that division. So let's move to the NFC North with the Bears, Lions, Packers, and Vikings. Who do you have here?
So here I have the Packers. I picked them to win the Super Bowl or be one of the Super Bowl champions. So definitely winning that division. Aaron Rodgers is going to take over. I do like it on DraftKings. It's minus 160. Do like that.
FanDuel, it's minus 145.
Really? That's
of
really
this
nice.
morning.
Yeah.
While I was looking at
before Rodgers came out with that, I was liking the Vikings. They're about plus 200. So I think they did have a chance. I like the Vikings team. That defense got a little better, but I think they still need to work on. And then with the Bears,
I think the Bears are 2 years away.
I think so too.
Fields being developed,
Yep.
2-3 years away from being up there. But I mean, their defense is, who knows what can happen.
And if for some reason Justin Fields doesn't look like a rookie, they have the players to do it with, especially at plus 550.
Oh yeah,
it's a pretty good
throw
deal.
some on just in case something crazy happens
With the Packers.
But like you said, I also took Packers minus 145, which I think is crazy that their odds are that low compared. But I get why, because the Bears defense is super solid.
It's hard to win games and win that conference,
especially winter and everything going to Soldier Field. That's tough. So I get that, but like you said, Rodgers last year, especially there, I think he's trying to go out with a FU mentality. I'm better than you guys.
Yep.
That GM, go after yourself. I'm gonna run the show. I'm gonna win this, and so I think they easily win that.
Yeah,
division,
definitely
so.
something to add to some parlays. That minus 145 or 160, whatever you get. I think they'll win by 2 or 3 games if they play like everyone thinks they're supposed to. So definitely good odds right now.
Yeah, so that's why I like the Packers there. You like the Packers. Then we'll kind of go to the last 2 divisions. To me are kind of toss-ups.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of had a hard time picking which one I wanted to go with. So we'll start with the NFC West with the Rams, 49ers, Cardinals, and Seahawks.
So
they're all plus, so you're getting them at good odds here.
Yep.
So
I'm going back and forth. I do like the 49ers, but I think they're 1 season away. Trey Lance needs a season, so I'm going with the Rams. I'm going with plus 190 with the Rams. The 49ers are plus 180, so it's pretty much even for them. Mm-hmm. I do like the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks will be good. I just don't think they're as good as the 49ers and Rams.
And so I like Russ. It's hard to bet against Russ, but like you said, I just don't know what they're going to do defensively, especially with the Seahawks, and I don't think they are better than the other 2. And same with the Cardinals. Like, the Cardinals will be solid, but I just don't think they're better than the other 2.
I don't think so. Like, I'm looking at that, I'm like, ooh, plus 1,650, but they're playing each one of these other teams 2 times.
Twice. And then I was looking at the schedules and just kind of going through. They all kind of play the same teams, but the 49ers actually play a little bit less, like, harder schedule. Yeah. So I actually went with 49ers at plus 190. It was a toss-up for me. I like Kyle Shanahan so much. I think he's an unbelievable coach, and his play calling's just amazing. So I went with him. The only thing that I worry about is with Saleh leaving. How is that defense going to look, and what's it going to look like?
Yeah, but it's going to be a big question mark. Yeah. They have studs on there. It's just more about how that's going to fit now.
Yeah, so it really depends on. That's where I'm at with that. I think you can go with any team, like whoever you're feeling to throw money on. But for me, I'm going to take my chances on the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan getting back to their Super Bowl season, and going to win that division. It might not be by like 3 or 4 games. It might be by 1. It might be come down to like one of the last games of the year.
I really think so.
So I think they all pretty much split anyway when they play at each other's places.
I think one team comes out, or 2 teams come out. One wins the division, the other, I think, a wild card comes out of here as well.
I'm sure So we'll move to the last division there. So with the West, I took 49ers plus 190, and the Rams at plus 200.
Yep.
Okay, and then we'll move to the NFC East, or the NFC Beast. You know?
Yeah.
We got the Cowboys, Eagles, the Washington football team, and the Giants here. It kind of was split between the Cowboys and Washington football team for me. I do not think Eagles or Giants will be close to winning this division.
Nope.
But for me, I went with Washington football team at plus 200 because I think their defense is that good, and they'll be able to get a stop here or there, especially against the Cowboys offense. But I also think adding Ryan Fitzpatrick changes everything for them. They have McLaurin, they have Curtis Samuel now, they have Antonio Gibson, Logan Thomas is supposed to be. They're supposed to get him involved more a lot, and then they got Sims or Wims. Well, I can't remember his name, but a second-year guy who was really good last year. So, and they brought in some more guys, and so I just think with Brian Fitzpatrick, they'll be able to compete in that league. But again, it comes down to how much can they stop Dak, Zeke, CD, Amari, and the Cowboys.
Well, it comes down to, I'm actually going to agree with you. I'm picking Washington here. I think the defense is the difference here.
I think that's easily what it is.
Dallas might have a little bit better of an offense, but if the rumors are true and Dak's injury going to be kind of injured all season.
See, I've read that it is, and then reports where Dak's just no, that's not
true. Yeah,
I feel great. I'm going to be 100% fine.
I just think this is the year Fitzpatrick goes to the playoffs. Look what the Redskins did without a quarterback last year. They made it to the playoffs, and I think their team just got a lot better this year. Defense is better. Big fan of Ron Rivera at that head coaching job, and I think this is the year the Washington wins that division. Fitzpatrick finally gets that playoff appearance.
Yeah, so we both have Washington there, and they were plus 200. So they're pretty solid odds. I know Cowboys were favored in that division by just by a little bit. They weren't crazy favorites.
And I think some of it is because it's the Cowboys.
That's 100% what it is.
Yeah.
It's like every year it's the Cowboys or it's the, I don't know, other sports now, like Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Oh man, Notre Dame's woo, hate that school. But anyway, so that's gonna wrap up episode 3 of Fantasy Football Futures. We'll try to film another one on Sunday and get an episode out there, and we'll talk about top 5 for NFC, and then at each position, and then we'll try to get some gambling picks out there for maybe the first games coming up, and then
two more weeks.
Yep.
First game.
We'll get that set up, and then we'll put that out. Try to get that out on Sunday or Monday this upcoming week. So we appreciate you guys listening. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button, like the video if you liked it, and leave us a comment. Tell us what we can do better if you want. And you can check us out on Spotify. So
and
thanks
Apple Podcasts.
and Apple Podcasts. That took forever. But thanks guys for listening. And we'll catch you next time. Peace.